The crimes that disturb me the most are those committed against children. In 2005, the bodies of 9-year-old Shaneka Legister and 8-year-old Shaneka Shakes were discovered in a field in the community of Townhead in Westmoreland. The two girls had left for school the day before, but an alarm was raised when they had not returned home by nightfall. The tragic killings have devastated the community ever since, especially since they remain unsolved to this day. The media reported that Shana, Kaye, and Shaneka had left for school, but while at the school around 8:30 somewhere about in the morning, because one of them said they had something to drop off by a sister. But when they left to go see the sister, they were never seen again. They were supposed to return to the school shortly after, but it wasn't until nightfall, when neither of the girls had shown up at their homes, that their absence was noticed. The community began a frantic search and finally stumbled upon both bodies in an open field. Now, that field was a well-known shortcut on the way back to the school, so obviously the girls were trying to make their way back to school when tragedy struck. From the state of their bodies, it appeared that at least one of the girls had been sexually assaulted, and there were signs of a brutal beating. The community was incensed. Who had committed these heinous acts upon these two girls? They blocked roads demanding justice. Police processed the crime scene and rounded up some suspects. But eventually they had to let them go because the evidence wasn't matching with the people they had arrested. But members of the community have always voiced that it's possible the killer may live among them because the shortcut that the girls took was well known to members of the community. It was often used by children going to and from the school. It's almost as if someone was laying in wait for children to go past this lot, to go through this shortcut in order to attack them. And judging by the level of violence that was inflicted on these two girls, it's very probable that it wasn't the killer's first attack. At least one man lost his life as the community took matters into their own hands, trying to punish Shana, Kaye, and Shaneka's killers. 21-year-old Kemar Russell, who had served time in prison for assaulting a 9-year-old boy, was beaten to death by members of the community. But the case still has not been solved almost 20 years later. Over the years, police have arrested about 15 people. They have, brought in suspects. They have interviewed them. The DNA tests have been done. The DNA does not match any of the people that they have arrested over the years. And the case is basically a cold case right now. Several years ago, some retired detectives had reopened the case and were re-examining the evidence and looking into any new leads to see, if they could find something to kind of bring this case to a close. But unfortunately, there hasn't been any further breakthrough in the case. And the family is still waiting for closure. Almost 20 years later, the family is still waiting for closure. They still don't know who committed these acts on these two girls. It's cases like these that make me so passionate about wanting the sex offender register to be public, because can you imagine people who commit crimes like this could be in your community, could be living amongst you, could be working beside you, and you have no idea. Can you imagine people who are capable of this level of violence? And if we knew who they were, if we were aware of what they're capable of, then we would know what kind of precautions to take. If you know that this person, this pedophile is living in your community, you're not going to let your children walk alone in an open field, right? You're going to try your best to take precautions. Of course, we know that criminals will be criminals and they'll find a way, but you're going to go an extra step to take precautions. I get that they're worried about vigilante justice, and to an extent, that concern is valid, but vigilante justice is a symptom of an ineffective justice system. When people don't have faith in the justice system and when people don't see the justice system working for them, that is when they try to find their own justice. If we fix the inadequacies in the justice system so that it works effectively and so that we actually bring actual justice to people seeking it, then the likelihood of vigilante justice would probably decrease.